Brooklyn, in the Brooklyn location, which is super cool. So we'll hear a little bit from them today. I want to give you a heads up. Sometimes the Wi-Fi seems like in and out. Okay. I can basically hear you, but there's moments that the video is a little frozen. So if you hear me just being like caca, that's why.
All right, like just lift your hand or something so you know that you're not hearing us.
Okay.
I'm gonna put this, I think.
It's usually only 2 or 3 seconds at a time, and then it comes back in. So. Okay.
All right. So can you see us okay? You can see us okay?
Yes, we can see you. I'll take down the slide.
All right. So I am excited to have this conversation with Wesley, and especially that we are here at 1037 East 92nd Street. And that's because in October of 2019. So it is back talking about
the message, the dash.
Right. We're looking for a musician or band to play for our opening. And that's how, I don't know, just other people had responded, but there was just something about Wesley's response that was just kind of plain and simple and straightforward that I just connected with. And we've been connected ever. We found out that there were some mutual friends that were here that we had. So it's really great, and I'm excited to have this conversation. This conversation is important to me because I'm a little older than you, and I've been older, but that's not always an index to where someone is at in their spirituality. But I know I had an encounter, and it shifted me. And something always put into her.
The Wi-Fi is going in and out a little bit, so it's hard to hear.
Okay. Let me see if I can maybe shift it to, I was going to try to shift it to the laptop instead of.
Yeah, maybe if you just use one device, low. Okay. There's a little message.
All right.
So let's see.
Okay, how many chapters? Let's take this one off. Just give us a moment.
That's okay. You look beautiful.
Is the sound better?
The sound is a little bit lower. So if anything, you can pull the mic if there is a mic closer to you. Yeah. But it sounds good in the sense that it's not lagging. Thanks for your patience, everyone.
Yes. Yeah, we're just trying to reconnect the mic. That may help. Okay. All right.
It definitely helped with the lagging. It seems to be good.
It does seem to be good.
Like y'all are flowing now.
Yeah, I'll try to hold that one. Yeah.
But I think it's
I was thinking, I don't know if you have a USB mic, but there was a part of my head I was like, that would be perfect.
Better now? It's too low.
Speak more.
Hello, hello.
Oh, it's great.
Okay.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yeah, that sounds really good.
I put like a just okay.
All righty. So.
Yay! Thank you.
Good. Because we don't want anyone to miss any of this. This is very important. All right. So just put that back over. Okay. Okay, so you can see us okay, and the sound is good. So yeah. I'm not going to go back because we want to make sure we have enough time. But Wes shared with us a couple of weeks ago, doing a sabbatical. We had a month off, and we all were kind of doing our own thing. But Wes had shared with me before we came back, I was asking him about an event that he was scheduled to play at in California. And I was excited to hear about that, but clearly there was something else that had happened that had overshadowed that for him. So I want him to just share more with that. But before you get into that experience, just kind of walk us through how you saw your relationship with spirituality and the divine, say from your childhood coming up in church, or right. What was kind of the context for your own spirituality?
Yeah, I was raised in a church, a Protestant church that was like very conservative, that they gave me a lot of love. There was a lot of love there, a lot of beautiful. I learned music at this church, and that was very beautiful. But also, I think the way I would see things, I wouldn't connect with everything. And then when I didn't connect with some of the things that I heard, you feel that you are not part of it, but you are part of it because I was raised there, right? Mm-hmm. So, and then you need to get the approval, but you're not gonna have that approval. And that made me never really get into spirituality, because I was just like, how am I gonna be spiritual if I cannot be myself? Like how, wow. How can I wow. How can I trust these people that they cannot even if I could see their love, but the differences, right? Mm-hmm. So I think I blocked myself from spirituality since I was a kid.
Well, the one line really struck me. How can I be spiritual if I can't be myself?
Yeah.
That's just very, very profound. And I don't know that most of us that are religiously oriented get that. Because we seem to often be trying to change ourselves and be something else to be more what God wants us to be, rather than looking at God really wants me to be myself.
Yeah.
So that was really insightful for you to even feel that, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the vision of God that they taught me, and that's how they could see it too. That's the way they see it wouldn't make sense to me, because the way they would picture God to me was just a guy full of mistakes. There's like a lot of authority, a lot of rules. And I was just like, it doesn't seem like that. Somebody that's spiritual and divine would be something like that. It never made sense to me. That's what made me go away from, and that was actually, I think my journey to my spirituality was when I left that church. And
you were a teenager and young adult?
I was like 17 when I had like a not very good experience when I came to church, I think with like this new guitar or something. Mm-hmm. And they got bothered by the guitar that I had, because they said that I was trying to copy the outside world.
The world. Oh, that's interesting.
I was looking for fame, and and my ego and stuff like that. And I remember that's when they kept like making this sermon like about me, like everybody woke up and was just saying, the pastor was just saying stuff about me, right? And I was just like, I think that's it, and then when everybody closed their eyes to pray, I left.
Time to go.
Yeah, and then I left. Of course, my mom everybody got very sad. And then later on, because I think my mom was like going through some sort of bullying, because her kid left in the middle when the pastor was saying, I was a rebel, the word. I kind of had to go to this church again and ask for pardon,
for forgiveness. For forgiveness. Wow.
And I remember,
and you did that?
I remember myself going to the church and asking for these people that I never I did nothing wrong, but I had to say sorry. And then I did this just to clean it up. But
Now, did you do that for your mother because you knew it hurt your mother?
I
Or
think that's mix of both, right? I think like, hey, am I wrong? You know, you don't know. You just like kind of do that. Oh, am I? But I also thought that my mom, you know, they would like me to do that. It was this mixed feelings, you know. So that was when and then I moved to the US. After that, it's been like, so around 17 to 18 years, I got out of my spiritual side. I blocked it. I was calling myself an atheist.
so literally you just said, I don't believe in God anymore.
Yeah. It was like I'm an atheist. Because that would avoid problems. Even if I even really believe or not, and just would avoid the problems, you know. I was just like, well, I'm an atheist. And that's when people stop. You know, all the time when somebody would talk to me and say, I'm an atheist, they would go away and my life would be better.
Don't even try.
Yeah. That was, I still do that sometimes. When somebody says, I'm an atheist, and they go away. So, not even that I know that I believe it or not. So that's what I did. And then I moved to the US and I started working for this church that's also very corrupt. And I think I'm not gonna say names, but I think they do like laundry money and stuff, you know. And that was
a church in Brooklyn.
It was a Brazilian church that is in Queens, and you know, it was not, you know. And I remember one day, on a Christmas day, the last day, like the pastor embarrassed like everyone there, saying a lot of things and judging these people. I was like, I'm going to this again. I'm in the US. And then that's when I say, like, I don't want any relationship with church in my life. But that was when I left.
So that's so interesting. So when I put that ad and you responded to the ad, you know, nothing went up red flag. Like, I ain't gonna have nothing to do with those folks.
Yeah, what I had in my mind is said, like, well, they need the music. I come from this place, so I know church music, so I'm gonna go and work. That's what I did. It's like, well, I'm gonna go and I'm just gonna do my professional, you know, job. That
really compartmentalize it. You know, I can do this here, and that has nothing to do with.
Yeah, and then I was also like, okay, it's an American church, so it might be different. I had a good experience with another church in Jersey. They were very nice. So they do a beautiful thing there. But it's still when the time that you were different, that's when things.
When you're different from what their expectations of you are.
That's when the problem comes. It's when, you know, when you don't really say, like, well, I don't really believe this. That's when your problem starts. And then I was like, oh man, it's the same thing again, right? But when I came like to Triumph, I came just for work, right?
Yeah. But we thought it was going to be like a one event. You know, I didn't even know when I reached out to you that it was going to be ongoing.
Yeah, and then the thing that was interesting is when I came here, so we have this indigenous tribe here, like people singing. Yeah. And I think more different people are different kind of groups.
Yes.
And that's when I was like, what's going on here? That's when I was like, I don't know what's going on here. Is this some sort of devil? The devil term? You know what I mean?
And that's what some people think about us, believe it or not.
Yeah, I was just like, well, I don't believe the other church, but the other church doesn't support that. So my mind was very confused.
Like, these people, what are they doing here?
That's like, I was just like, well, because you know what, when I left church, I could get into the culture of my country. The culture of my country is very racist. The church in Brazil is very racist. They wanna like lock down the African roots. And Brazilians, we are all African, right? So like, and then I couldn't know my own culture. Like, you know, I couldn't play samba when I was in church. I couldn't play anything that was Afro related. And then, you know, when I came here, I was like, wait a minute. I know this Afro part because I left church. But now the church is an Afro thing. What's going on here? And
yeah, it certainly was. I mean, we all remember that day. It was such a celebratory day. And it was intentionally diverse because we wanted to bring in the roots of this community, Canarsie, which is Native American. And we also wanted to bring in the roots of our particular church, which was rooted in the African tradition. So we had all of that mixed in with different flavors. And, you know, some folks, were like, yo, those folks are devil worshipers, or, whatever. But, that doesn't bother us. We have thick skin here. So very, very interesting. I know that there's some of us maybe that can relate to your church experience. I'm going to ask those of you that have questions to either put them in the chat or hold them, because I want to get into, so it's been 3 years now, just about, since we've met. And we had fellowship here. We'd always talk, and we've had so many wonderful experiences together, just learning the music. But I've never had a conversation with you about, well, what do you believe? Do you believe in God?
Right. That was interesting to me, because I was like, why is she not asking if I'm gonna, accept or not, and sign the paper, and then I'm gonna be accepted here. That was very interesting. It was just like, what's going on?
You waiting for the hammer to drop. Okay, now.
Yeah, they're gonna have this 80s playing here, and they are fine with that. That was very interesting. Yeah, that was very interesting.
So, but our energy, at least as we reopened, my energy and the focus, my husband and I and our new team, and the way we rebooted Triumph, was that my biggest concern was that this would be a safe and sacred space for people to find their own way, not for someone to tell them their way, but them to find their own way. Because I've had experiences like you, grew up in church, where, it's an awful thing where you're sitting in a church and the minister is throwing darts at you. That's, those of us that grew up in church, we understand that. It's a very painful thing. And then to stay there, because you have mixed emotions, because these are people, family, people you love, and
they love you too.
They love you too.
That's the way. That's the way to share love.
Yeah, they beat up on you.
Yeah.
And that's how they show love to you.
Yeah.
They call you out, they embarrass you. But that's the way they learn.
They want you to walk in what they call
their
life.
way.
Yeah.
Their way, and they, by forcing you into a path that they believe is right, they think is what's best for you. So hold your questions if you have some on that. And I want you to get into now. What happened? I don't know, what over the 3 years, were you leading up to this, or was it just this one moment, something that just recently happened to you?
Yeah, I think that when I left, that moment when I left church was the moment that I started looking for my spiritual side. When I stopped saying the name God.
When you stopped saying the name God.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's now that I see that when my journey started.
Wow.
Because then I was
that is just like, those are tweetable moments. I think that's what they call it. When I stopped saying the name God is when my spiritual journey began. Whew.
Yeah, at least that's how I felt.
That sounds like, those that may be watching us on social media, just stay with us. Hang in here. We're not some Looney Tunes.
Yeah,
but we're going somewhere with this.
Yeah, so that's, and then I did all the experimental things that I had to do, and of course I would have guilt from that.
And guilt is the residue of all the things you've learned in church religiously, what this God expected of you or wanted you to do.
Yeah, it's unconsciously, like it's
subconsciously.
Yeah, you just have this. Might come from so many things. Might become a little bit from the church, a little bit from the country that I was in, the neighborhood. It was a mix of things, but I would start experimenting, living what I think that I had to, but I would always get the guilt. And then I moved here, and then I did these experiences with this church, and then I said, like, don't want to do church anymore. But then I start coming here, and very weirdly, that's gonna sound weirdly, but I start like meeting all these sort of people in New York, different people from everywhere, conservative, far left, far right, all kinds of. I eventually, and then I'm seeing something, and it was just like, everybody's saying something that kind of makes sense, but we are all fighting with each other. Yeah. And then I was just like, okay. And then I had little experiences with weed. It was very interesting. I never did anything in my life because I thought that was wrong. And I started having some experience, and that thing was opening things in me. I was just like, what's going on? I would feel guilty about it. But that was taking me to see things. And that's when I started doing psychologist. I went to the psychologist because I want to save a relationship that I was in. I was to this marriage that something wasn't going on. I started going to the psychologist. Going to the psychologist, I think that's when I start for the first time. I experiment like marijuana, and that was very interesting because it started like taking me be sensitive to a spiritual side that I was like, wait, I don't have a spiritual side. But it was very weird because nobody's gonna understand that. If I tell that to my parents, they're gonna go away. Probably a lot of people might get scared when I'm saying that. But that the psychologist started touching me, and I think the way you guys were like also exposing your ideas was like what's going on? Like and that's when I, last month, and then I started playing for an ayahuasca ceremony as a musician. So look at me, I do the country gig in Jersey. I play for Triumph Live Center. I played for all these kind of things down at the ayahuasca ceremony, playing for a shaman. It wasn't Santo Daime. It was just, indigenous related medicine. Like that's to me was the deepest level from my church that they would go, right? I am with the shaman, so I am with the devil. You know what I mean?
You really
I am like
all the way.
I am all the way there. So I'm like, if my parents see that, they're gonna like, I lost my kid, right? But interesting. And then I had that, and I felt that to, I saw beautiful things there happening. And I started crying, and I couldn't stop crying. I saw people talk in tongues. And it was just like, what's going on? I saw that in church. People talk tongues there. I didn't believe when I was in church. But why they were talking in tongues right here? I saw people saying that they were reborn. I was just like, I heard people saying they were reborn, but it didn't make sense to me when I was in church. And now I see these people
totally not related to church.
Not God in there. Yeah. No religion in there. And the same things are happening. There is one guy that started talking the way that you used to call in church that the devil was speaking. You know what? I don't know how you guys say in English, but when they have the voice, they start talking, there is one person that was who said that. And I was just like, wait a minute. I know that.
Yeah, you experienced it before.
I said, I asked the shaman, I was just like, what's going on? I want to see his. And he kind of also didn't want to, he was like, every people is you. I was just like, wait, he's open-minded, but something's going on. That was like, and then I decided to have the ayahuasca. And then I had it. And the interesting part, I had to go back to my childhood and that experience. And that experience made me forgive my church.
Wow.
Right? So I had to go back there. And it was just showing me all the love from everyone.
So that process of forgiveness of your church, was that a releasing of, what they had projected onto you, and what was that like?
I think it's because I think I had hate towards church, right? I think I had hate, a lot of hate from church. But that medicine that's nothing related with church took me there and said, like, listen, something here, and showed, like, you can see in third person, people giving love to me, and I was just seeing the love that they gave to me, not the trauma that I had. And I started like, and then I was in a beautiful relationship again with my parents again, like things that I still had a little bit, because they put me in church, so
yeah, they did this to you.
So I was just, I was like a lot of trauma from them. I was just like, well, even if they love them, but I still had this, And the interesting part, I really suffered when I had to forgive myself.
Wow.
And then
what were you forgiving yourself for?
that's the thing. I never even know what this guilt is coming from. I just had
Where
the
the guilt
guilt.
was coming.
My psychologist is telling me this, like, you have guilt, that why you have this, and I don't
see the guilt, but you don't even know why you.
I don't even think that I did something wrong. But I'll say, okay, so you know what you did that was wrong. I don't even actually know what is wrong, but I felt like, so if my life was going well, I would feel weird. It was just like, whoa, why everything is going well? A lot of people are suffering. And then I would enjoy when I think it's good. And I was like very afraid of dying. Always afraid, if I do something bad to you, I think you would kill me. I had all these things. But that medicine, whatever you want to call, made me see the divine again and the eternal life again. And it's hard to say this fast in this way, but that was the journey. I had to go there. And then when I had to now you forgive yourself. That's, I suffered for like another week after that. Until I could see myself and like, listen. And then all of the sudden, like now when people from church talk to me, my parents, I use the names that they want to hear. My dad's going through a bad moment now. It's very complicated moment. He's going to do a heart surgery. And what I was talking about him is God. Because I know that's what
that. So you can say the name, you can say God and talk about God, and it doesn't create any adverse reaction in you now.
Because now I believe it. But I don't believe that there was a Jehovah that people told me only. Because, okay, it might be Jehovah for many people, but for other, because that was my question when I was younger. I was like, okay, so the other part of the world that wasn't raised there, they all gonna go to hell?
Right.
I was like, it doesn't make sense. It never made sense. And now I just see that, and for some reason, I felt that here you got the way you guys go through everything that you do. It's just like, oh, I think they're talking the same language, and the same language was the same language of the shaman. They now are doing a ceremony only for 3 people. They're saying like they're giving love, reaching out to them, and they are really looking like this guy. He was a rich guy, this shaman. He left all of that to do this.
Wow.
And I was just like,
kind of like the character in the movie I was talking about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He was from Wall Street, you know.
Yeah.
And now he's, he went to Amazon and stayed there months learning. And I was just, and then it's complicated to say, but all that experience just made me like come back. So I don't call me. Sometimes I'm say when I see that somebody's being.
You just want to push them away.
Okay, I made this just to make it convenient, but no. So now I accept the pray again.
Wow.
And
so now you pray.
I pray, yeah. I pray. I pray again. It's I know this might be very weird for many people. I already understand that might sound very weird for many people. People in my church, I remember they say like, "Oh, we are crazy, right? We are crazy." And now I understand because I'm crazy again, like But now I feel that I'm crazy. And for the first time, I'm crazy, and I am myself. And I was just
yourself crazy.
Yeah,
that's someone else's crazy.
That's me. My craziness.
I love it.
Yeah.
We can just keep going on and on. This is so fascinating. But Brenda, I'm gonna turn it over to you. And any questions that you may have, or anyone in the Zoom room for Wes I want you all to just jump in on this. Wes said so much, and again, this could go on and on and on. But we want to just open it up for those that are with us to ask questions, to respond, to have comments.
I guess what I took from this is how this journey is evolving. It's ever evolving. And it's comforting and validating to hear about your experience, Wesley, because I feel a similar way, I suppose, in the sense that I've kind of flip-flopped, gone up and down and back and forth. And at times also feel a little like crazy, a little loopy. Really, in moments of intense stress, I turn to my spiritual beliefs to help guide me and to regulate me. And I think sometimes people around me are like, you sound so like hippy dippy or loopy. I don't know, maybe that's just what I'm perceiving. But it's comforting. I also was thinking about like, okay, the main differences between religion and spirituality, and how do you define that for yourself? That's something I'm still learning. I still feel very intimidated in a religious environment because I wasn't raised with those traditions, or I don't really know what is expected of me, or if I adhere to everything that I've learned about. But when I think about spirituality, it feels a little more approachable, I suppose. And I've learned a lot through Triumph about spiritual development. So I wonder how do y'all define the religion versus the spirituality? Are they, I don't know, are they together? Are they separate? Are they opposites? What do you think?
You're asking us here, those in the Zoom room.
I guess anyone, whoever wants to answer.
So for you, Wes, how do you differentiate religion from spirituality at this point, having gone through all of this? So you were raised, in a religious organization, and then you left that, and you said your spirituality, you didn't think you had any, but now you've come somewhat full circle. So do you see a difference between religion and spirituality?
I think the religion is a tool that has a lot of power to make you get into your spirituality. Mm-hmm. But because become this institution, mm-hmm. It has to have rules. Yeah. And these rules is when we go away from the spirituality. Yeah. And that's when the church that I came from, the Jesus that they said, was the guy that was going against that.
Yes. Yeah.
And that never made sense to me. It was like, because Jesus is very beautiful. Mm-hmm. Jesus never said anything that I don't agree with. Mm-hmm. And he was the one against all these rules.
Yes. Against the religious order, against the institution.
So I think we can find religions are beautiful because there they have all the tools for us to connect, but because of the rules, we lose the connection. Sometimes some people, they are connected. So I think, so I think they walk kind of together, but if we are not connected, we might lose the balance.
Yeah, when I like how you said religion is a tool. The tool is an object, it's an instrument that we can use to another end, but it's not the end. And I think when we make religion the end, the institution, the church, the end is when we fall, is when we fail. You can use the hammer to build the house, but the hammer is not the house.
We lose empathy.
We lose.
Because now I'm like, I'm preaching my religion.
Yes.
And not like the spiritual side of it. That's how I feel, Yeah. I don't think they're wrong.
Right.
But so now I take a little bit of religion too.
Yeah.
I can go to Umbanda, take a little bit from there. I can go to the regular church. I can go a little bit of everything. Helpful.
It's interesting to think of it that way. I appreciate that. Sometimes those tools or those practices and rituals that you adhere to can bring you closer to divinity, or it can kind of take away, distract you from it, and separate and divide community. Both and.
We're almost out of time, but if there's anyone else on that would like to make a comment or share something with Wes, please just unmute yourself and come on in. I can't see who else is on, Brenda, so you just let us know. We don't want to belabor it. Reverend
Beverly's here. Nadia, Minister Obina. Bandali was here, but had to peace out.
So this has been great. I really appreciate you sharing your experience, And I know it's only just a little capsule of your journey. I know that it's, the day-to-day expression and how you walk that out and work that out is far bigger than what you can really put into a conversation. But I appreciate you, and I appreciate your journey. And that we here at Triumph has been able to be a part of this with you, just observing it as an observer somewhat, and how you blessed us through your music and through your presence and through sharing in our gatherings sometimes, even in our fellowship when we would be here each week. That was so enriching. The after service, I would call it, after the cameras went off and we were just all kind of sitting around together, just sharing, is how we got to know each other. And that's
how I learned you're so funny.
Right?
Wesley has a great sense of humor.
Great sense of humor. Great sense of humor. And I think it's so important also in our spirituality and our journey. We're going to have to stop here. But again, thank you, Wes. Any final thoughts, anything that I don't know if you want to say advice or any words you would give to someone who would say stuck in a place. Maybe they were raised in religion and they walked away from it. They don't want anything to do with that. Maybe they never had no experience with that. Anything that you would share with someone finding really in this search to kind of find themselves in a spiritual place. Anything you would share with them?
Yeah, the first thing is like, you know what? I don't think I'm an example for anything, but I my own thing is just like, I think we all know deep what we believe, right? We all know a little bit what we believe, and sometimes we are scared.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I would just like look at yourself inside of yourself, and you have an answer that, because the gods or whatever you want to say, it's talking right there, right? It's talking right there. It's gonna be hard to express that, but I think I would keep going, expressing what God's telling you, because He tells everyone in a different way. I think that's the only thing I would say. I had to find God living Jesus.
You had to find each other.
I'm not gonna say sorry for who doesn't agree with me, because I don't think I'm wrong. Mm-hmm. But I also have empathy to understand that you might not understand what I'm saying.
Right. And we know that at different times and stages in our life, we can hear and see and receive and perceive different things. So we're always empathetic where others are on your journey. We're fellow travelers.
Yeah, just let's follow our instinct, our hearts, our spiritual side. We all have.
Yeah, and keep listening. I like that you said that. The gods are teaching us. They're talking to us. They're leading us. We have to listen and we have to follow. So again, I want to give a shout out to Wesley. Thank you so much. This has enriched me. Brenda, we're going to go just quickly to our, let's do the segue out. We want to, because this is about evolving spirituality and reconnecting, we want to just put a seal on this. So I'll turn it over to you to do a closing. If you want to do the affirmations, and I'm going to come back and we'll do the announcements, and then Weston will close us out with some of his music. And when we close it, we didn't get a chance to talk about the music piece, so we'll do that another time. That's so much a part of who you've become for us now, not just playing for us, but being a part of the music ministry that we are producing here.
Yeah, I feel that now, for the first time, I think it's meaningful what I'm doing. I thought it was meaningful, of course it was, but now I just have some more purpose. It's for me.
Wow. Go ahead, Brenda.
I will share some affirmations today. We haven't done this in a minute. So feel free to repeat, feel free to speak it in your head, however you feel comfortable. And I encourage you, take a nice deep breath as always. I am a divine being. I am here to experience my human life. The entire universe is conspiring for my wellness. I have opened the doors for my well-being and reconnecting with divinity. I am open to giving, and I am open to receiving. I am being guided by my inner spiritual self. This spiritual journey is purifying my soul and my heart. I am loved and cared for by the divine. There is abundant love flowing through me, and I am attracting abundant love and abundant happiness. I am being guided toward enlightenment, and I am always anchored in love. Thank you. All right. So
as we move to our announcements, I just want to give those that may be watching us via social media, live, or at another time on YouTube, an opportunity to support this ministry. First, for those of you that have supported us over the last several years, we want to just say thank you. We're very grateful for your donation and for how you lift us up in prayer and keep sending positive energy our way. If you have never donated, this may be the time for you to consider making a donation. We're moving into the end of the year. We'll begin soon our end of the year fundraising. So it's a great time for you to think about making Triumph one of your nonprofits, faith communities that you support. You can donate via Cash App, which is $Triumph 2020. You can donate through PayPal, through our email, triumphchurchpsc@gmail.com, by snail mail, by mailing a check or money order to Triumph the Church of the New Age, P.O. Box 2157, Newark, New Jersey, 07114. And you can also do it via invoice. So we can send you email us, we can send you an invoice, and then you can use your credit or debit card to make a donation. You can make a one-time donation, or you can make a pledge that you will support us on an ongoing basis. Again, to all of those who have continued to support us, we say thank you. We're so grateful for you because your donations, your contribution help us to continue to do what we do, creating a safe and sacred space for all of us to find our way.
thank you. Moving forward, just a reminder, some of the music that we've releasing and will be releasing, the next is coming out on October 7th. It's called Just Be Me. We also have a song called Ser la Brisa, which is something that I sang. And we have another song called Together We Stand, which recently came out earlier this month. So if you'd like to listen, you can find it on YouTube, on iTunes, on Spotify, on Apple Music, and other streaming platforms. Take a listen and let us know what you think. There is a newsletter that will be coming out, a virtual newsletter on October 7th. Again, the same time, more or less, as the new music that's coming out as well. We also invite you, if there's anything you'd like to share in the newsletter, any stories, any quotes, any advertisements even, feel free, let us know. And you can email us at triumphlifecenter@gmail.com. As always, you can find us on social media platforms, especially YouTube, where you can find some of the past recordings that we have, including this one. So thank you, community, for coming through. Lots of love. We have our final words to live by of the week. I guess we'll get a closing jam from Wes. And if there's any final words that you'd like to say over there.
Brenda, just before we do, we just want to give a shout out to Senior Bishop, who's now sitting in the soft chair with Wes.
Hey!
Thank you, everybody. We're just so grateful for him being here with us and having supported this transition and triumph for these past 3 years, for being the spiritual energy behind what we do and how we do it, and just giving his seal of approval for moving into this safe and sacred space. So thank you, Bishop. Thank you so much.
May God bless you and keep you.
Thank you.
The words to live by this week. We are not human beings having a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. Ooh. Yes, yes, it's nice to hear you sing. Okay, I will share our closing prayer and then we will say goodbye. As always, let us pray. We cannot merely pray to you, O God, to end war, for we know that you have made the world in a way that people must find their own path to peace within themselves and with their neighbors. We cannot merely pray to you, O God, to end starvation, for you have already given us the resources with which to feed the entire world if we would only use them wisely. We cannot merely pray to you, O God, to root out prejudice, for you have already given us eyes with which to see the good in all people if we would only use them rightly. We cannot merely pray to you, O God, to end despair, for you have already given us the power to clear away slums and to give hope if we would only use our power justly. We cannot merely pray to you, O God, to end disease, for you have already given us great minds with which to search out cures and healing if we would only use them constructively. Therefore, we pray to you instead, O God, for strength, determination, and willpower to do instead of just pray, to become instead of merely to wish. Ashe.
Pray and amen.
Ooh.
Love you all. See you next week. Be well.
True. Enjoy the afternoon.